Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As you can tell from up above, this is my review of Star Wars The Old Republic, as I promised a while back, but until just recently forgot. This is all going to be pretty quick, because I'm not exactly sure how long my microphone's going to hold up. I mentioned in previous videos that I've been having some audio issues, and my microphone has nearly completely died. I think it might have to be issues with my sound card, as right now I'm actually recording with the plug into my computer almost completely out of it in order for the computer to register my microphone. I'm not exactly sure what's causing this, and it's incredibly weird that it can just be barely hanging into the socket and get this much audio quality. That's just freaking strange. Anyway, I might have to jimmy it a little bit more at some point in this video, but let's just try and get this done while the microphone is actually still working. Anyway, Star Wars The Old Republic. A lot of you that were interested in this have probably already signed on to it, because it's been out for like a couple of months, actually. But if you haven't signed on to this and are thinking about it, I would kind of recommend it if you're into Star Wars. Unfortunately, you can't really go into this expecting something new and innovative and not be disappointed, because effectively Star Wars The Old Republic does everything in ways that have been done before dozens of times. It's functionally exactly the same as WoW. It doesn't do anything that World of Warcraft doesn't do, with very few exceptions. For instance, combat is more kinetic. Some of the PvP archetypes are, well, not archetypes, but types of games are a bit different, and in my opinion work a little bit better, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, it doesn't really do anything different from World of Warcraft. If you're familiar with World of Warcraft, you'll be perfectly comfortable in how things operate in the Old Republic. The things that the Old Republic does different from World of Warcraft is fully voiced quest lines, where everything is, voiced. You are talking to a person and he's speaking to you, and you're giving a verbal response based on a Mass Effect style dialogue wheel, which doesn't really alleviate the fact that you're still going to X location to kill Y number of X enemy. Like a mission, go into the shipyard area and kill X number of rogue droids and bring back their parts. Or go to this random field and disable this random type of machine and kill this random enemy that's nearby it, and then bring back a part. Or deliver a part. It's basically the same quests all the time that you've encountered dozens of times in other MMOs. The reasons behind them are different, and they can be in quest lines with a story, but they're basically the same MMO fare. There is a key intrinsic difference to Star Wars The Old Republic that makes me actually prefer it to WoW. I've never been able to get into WoW for this exact reason. One, I don't care about the WoW lore and storyline, and I care about the Star Wars storyline because, hey, it's Knights of the Old Republic, and it's continuing where Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 left off. What's not to enjoy? And two, it's based more on you getting attached to your character because of the decisions you're making throughout the life of your character. You're getting attached to your character because it's your character, not because of your gear loadout. And you're not hating your character because you don't have the newest gear. And WoW, every time you get there, an expansion gets out, you're like, my character sucks because I don't have this new gear. But in the Old Republic, you are like, it's an adventure, and there's this gear there that I could get that makes it interesting and fun. It's a quest to get that gear rather than, I gotta get this gear so I'll have a worthwhile to play character. I'm sure a lot of people say, you can do that in WoW too, and you have that connection to, your characters in WoW as well, and Oh, I played Star Wars The Old Republic, and your decisions don't matter all that much, but it feels organic and it feels nice. A lot of people can relatively easily say it's just KOTOR 3 with multiple storylines and online co-op. Uh, but hey, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with KOTOR 3 with multiple different paths you could go to, multiple different storylines, happening at the same time generally, sometimes overlapping slightly, if you look for the connections, and online co-op? What the heck is wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. KOTOR is freaking amazing. It's BioWare. You can go into this game, buy a couple months subscription, grind the hell out of it, and play all of the storylines, and be happy with your money investment. It's like, oh, that was good. I enjoyed playing through those 6 KOTOR games. You know, it was worth paying $60 and then another $15 for an extra month so I could play through the rest of the stuff. It will be a worthwhile investment. I can recommend it even if you don't plan on going beyond the first 1 or 2 months. Because it's Knights of the Old Republic with online co-op. And it's the online co-op is another thing that the Old Republic does better than any MMO I have played to date. And any other MMO I've played to date, Lotro, WoW, any of them, the multiple free-to-play things, I felt no inclination to seek out players to play with. In fact, I preferred playing by myself, because I just didn't want to go through the trouble of finding anyone else, or I didn't want to risk idiots. But in the Old Republic, it's actually a hoot, and really enjoyable to play with other people. Because you're sharing an experience rather than just, going through a level and grinding. You're actually experiencing a storyline. You're sharing the story and life of your character as you proceed through the game with other people. You're experiencing the universe rather than just grinding through a monotonous thing where thousands of people are trying to kill you and trying to get everyone to work together, and decisions not mattering. And often you'll encounter variations on storylines where you normally wouldn't make a decision, but somebody else happens to get the random chance of speaking first, and thus, their dialogue choice changes the path of the storyline, and you normally would not have picked that storyline. Mind you, there's aspects of this I wish they would modify. For instance, at several points in the storylines of missions, there's a good and an evil choice that the group can make. If the group makes the good choice, and the one that actually acts via the random number generator that says they go and their choice is the one that takes effect and does something horrible, the rest of the group doesn't react to it at all, really. It wouldn't take all that much effort to add a couple of frames of animation with the other group members, or at least one of them, looking at the guy that pressed the button to kill the bunch of people instead of sparing them, with a look of horror on their face, like, what the hell, man? How could you do that? A shortcut isn't worth human lives kind of situation. Just 3 seconds of like, oh, how could you? Would have increased the immersion a heck of a lot. Or if the group decides to do the good thing and go through a heck of a lot of effort rather than taking that deadly shortcut that hurts civilians, the guy that picked the evil option could look at the group with like a exasperated expression. It's like, oh, you're so soft. You should have taken the quicker route. Other people will die because of this kind of thing. It would increase the immersion significantly if you actually had reaction shots from the other members of the group that picked something different. And of course, there's some storylines in the game that I don't really necessarily agree with, but I won't spoil for you here. For instance, you find out the final fate of Darth Revan, the character you were playing as in the first Knights of the Old Republic game, and it's a bit unsatisfying. But generally, all the storylines are good and Several of the dynamics they introduce into the MMO world through this game are new and fresh, but it doesn't do anything truly innovative. The companion system, where you're traveling with an NPC character with their own personality, and you have this crew you can hire on that can join you into combat that has their own personalities and storylines, that's great. I hope more MMOs do that in the future. But don't go into this game expecting a new era of, like, a next generation of MMOs that changes the way things work completely. The only thing it will change is making the storyline in MMOs more prevalent. It's not the World of Warcraft killer everyone thought it was going to be. If you want innovation and something incredibly different, hold out for Guild Wars 2, which, if you look up gameplay, beta footage, you can see it does a heck of a lot different. But even it generally follows the same MMO formula of go to this location and kill this number of things for this reason. But yeah, Guild Wars 2 will be more innovative than this, but still, even with that, don't expect a huge amount of innovation in other factors. If you're into Star Wars and you're into story-driven games, heck, even if you only want to play this for a couple months to have played what is effectively Knights of the Old Republic 3 with 6 storylines, 6 games worth of content, you know, it's worth the $70-80, because you'd be paying $60 for just one of these storylines if it was in a single-player RPG, but you're getting a social aspect with cooperative multiplayer that you normally wouldn't get, and you're getting 6 equally long games alongside of it. So it's worth that much money, in my opinion. So, what number rating would I give this MMO? Well, I'd probably give it a solid 8.5. I'd give it a little bit higher if it lived up to the hype that was put forward, most of it generated by people just like thinking it was going to be great, and it could be a lot better in a lot more different ways. But I imagine once the first expansion for the game comes out, it will be higher number score. And also there's a fair amount of glitches in the game, but it was actually a pretty damn smooth launch compared to most MMOs, and it's okay. Glitch-wise, it's pretty smooth. Just don't expect the glitch-free smoothness of World of Warcraft, because heck, World of Warcraft has been around for 7 years. This has been around for like 3 to 4 months. A lot of people on the forums will bitch endlessly about how glitchy the game is, but you try to run a server, much less a server that runs a video game with 7 million people playing on it. Anyway, 8.5 for Star Wars The Old Republic. This is cheezeofages, signing off.